Hello and welcome to Powered by Intuition, where we explore patterns, possibilities, and the power of perception. I'm your host, Brittany Purr, the illuminator, transforming fear into fortune and chaos into clarity. And my goodness, has it been chaos behind the scenes today? But thankfully, timing was right. Everything's set up. Now it's jerry-rigged and precarious. If something falls down, so be it. It just is going to get tossed aside. But thank you for joining me on this podcast or on this live. And as you are listening to this, and I'll intro this each and every time, if this has come across your feed, if you find this recording, if you are part of this live, I just want to let you know the timing is divine. It is the right time and the right place for you to hear what I'll be sharing in this. And with that, just know anytime that you are going through this, it is going to connect with something in your life. I'm just putting that intention out there on each and every episode that even though I use current events to kind of springboard a teaching, the wisdom that is held within is timeless. It'll serve and support you wherever you are at and whatever you are dealing with. So that is my intention for each of these episodes, that whenever this episode meets you, it will be the right time for you to hear the information contained inside. How am I shaking? Oh my goodness. Sorry. I'm over here streaming on another platform and I had to use a different stand, and that stand is a little bouncy, so I'm going to be bouncy over here on the Talk on the Clock app as I am doing this live. So, pardon me. Today's episode is about the lessons that we learn. How you'll notice throughout your life there are patterns, and there's these patternistic choices. So, a good example that I can share from my own life is the pattern of not making enough money. Right? Like, I'm not making any money on this. At this point that I'm recording this, I don't make any money from my social media or from coming on here each week. Eventually, that'll happen. With consistency, with building an audience, with having more people share, support, etc., it'll get out there. And I have to do my due diligence in marketing and making that happen, which I have not. So the responsibility is on me to make that happen. It is nobody else. It is not anybody who's viewing this. It is me. And not even the platforms, because there's always ways around that, right? Or that's, the way that I see things. There's always, where there's a will, there's a way. That little cliche that is antiquated. I have dated myself. I'm sorry. But coming back to the subject matter, the mistake that I would make is I would get into panic mode. I would be in a survival state, and making decisions from that survival state lead you into more situations that keep you in that survival state. Let me repeat that again. When you make decisions from a survival state, that'll lead you into more decisions in a survival state. So basically, it's the same way of, I'm digging a hole. Okay, now I'm going to keep digging a hole because I need to dig. All right, maybe there's treasure under here. No, I'm just digging a deeper hole. Okay, that's kind of the idea. There will always be these grandiose things making these grandiose statements that are not factual. That'll be like, hey, you can make money instantly. Oh, you can make money, this amount of money this week on these apps, and they're scammy apps that's stealing your data and then selling your data to scam artists that are doing like loan sharking or something like that. And similar things with MLMs. If you're not a good salesperson, if you don't find sales amazing or wonderful, if you're not an extrovert, a stark extrovert, and across the board because introversion, extroversion, ambiverts, there are different things where people might be extroverted in some ways and introverted in others. So a lot of performers tend to be introverted or like to be private about their own lives and not deal with a bunch of people. But when they're on set, like they are the most extroverted person. When they are performing in front of people, they are the most extroverted person. You would never know that they're an introvert, but they skew more towards being an introvert. And in those moments, they're an extrovert. They're feeling energized by being around and in front of people. But other than that, like social interactions might completely drain them, which is something that, I've been experiencing lately where I've had to really take time to close off my energy to some people right now because I am just started a new gig, doing a lot, and I need a lot of rest and restoration away from people because yeah, I'm really good at getting life stories. Really good at that. And I don't have the capacity or the bandwidth to be around people in that capacity. Now, if I were to go out to a club, go dancing, I might have more energy. That might be energizing for me. I will defer more towards like hanging out at a theme park, being a little more energizing, getting that little hit of whatchamacallit. Oh, I'm brain farting because that's part of the energy drain of just like melt. Um, Getting that little adrenaline rush, like kind of reminds me of my childhood, fun, enjoyment, something that gets me out of this monotony of like work and somewhat overworking. Even though I still enjoy it, it still takes a lot from me and I need to refill my cup. Which brings me into this whole thing of doing the same lessons, learning until you actually learn this lesson. So going through school, when I grew up, you could be held back a grade if you didn't pass that grade level. Nowadays, there's the No Child Left Behind stuff, which kind of leaves every child behind because being at a grade level, even though it sucks being an older kid surrounded by younger kids, and vice versa, a younger kid being surrounded by older kids who gets pushed up into the system, it's still your developmental level is at that learning level. And you would not progress until you passed those lessons and that class. That is a learning for life. Because life, whether you believe in any sort of deity, etc., I'm just going to chalk it up to life, nature, the order of the universe, serendipity, as it were, will teach you lessons. But these lessons are based off of your choices. It's like your karma. Karma is just, at its core, consequences of your actions. So either you're going to wash, rinse, repeat, or you're going to buy something that, let's say, automatically takes care of it. Let's say you're going to hire someone to help you out with it. You're going to hire a maid to support you. You're going to hire a laundry service. So you don't wash, rinse, repeat. The pattern changes, right? Like if you don't have time to do your laundry, hire someone to do it if you can. Like figure out a way to make something happen. Or something that I've been considering lately, it's like I'm tired of doing the coin laundry. Maybe I can get one of these compact little washers and dryers so that I don't have to mess with that anymore. Coins are going away and there's still coin operated laundry, and I don't want to put another app on my phone. I would prefer to have my little devices that I can take with me anywhere and have an in-house unit now that my job kind of demands I need to wash outfits more frequently because I only have 2 work outfits and they get messy, okay? That's an option. That's a change to ensure that I can handle my burdens of cleaning, which have been challenging lately because I've been doing a lot. It's been busy. So, if you don't make the change and you're doing business as usual and you're not being mindful of changing your patterns, you will suffer the consequences that come of those behaviors and that decision. And I see people bringing this up a lot. And I'm going to bring up the current event now, which it might be jarring to some people, where there is a situation, a lot of Black people, African Americans, have decided to we're just going to sit on the back burner and we're going to mind our own business and we're going to do our own thing. We did our thing by doing our best to speak up, serve, and support. And people outside of that community tend to do their things of disregard us. Doesn't matter how experienced we are, how much knowledge we have, how at times we prove ourselves, having multiple degrees, experience up the wazoo, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And just disregard people of my gender and skin tone or darker. And this has been a pattern where, like, a certain type of person can say nice things, have no merit behind them, have no proven skill, not even have credentials to prove that they are able to fulfill this job, and yet they are deemed as worthy above someone who has skills, proven talent, credentials, etc. And it's like that wash, rinse, repeat. Maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. But I've definitely changed my behaviors where I used to just outright trust people or trust a certain type, but not let them, I'm going to be very intentional with my words here, not let them really show who they are first before giving that trust over. And guess what happened? It didn't work out well for me. Or they would prove themselves, but I wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't take that and go, I need to stop. This person has shown me who they are. And I didn't believe it. I wanted to believe their potential, but not who they are at that point in time. And I think a lot of us get pulled into this idea of someone rather than who they actually are. And things are going to happen. Things are going to happen. And maybe it'll work out. I mean, in any way, shape, or form, it's going to work out. People are resilient. Eventually, people do learn to change their behaviors once the pedal goes to the metal on things, but oftentimes people don't. And the consequences of their actions will be experienced because people of my skin tone are not going to save you. And really, nobody's going to save you at this point because everybody is scrambling for cover in one way, shape, or form. And this also brings up something about awareness of your behaviors, awareness of being present in the moment. Because as I said, I was looking at a potential and not seeing who a person really was. And that looking at the potential wasn't being present. That was being in an idea of someone. That was being in a fantasy of someone. That was putting someone in a box that they didn't want to be in. And guess what? That's self-sabotage. That created a lot of problems. That created a lot of pain. That created a lot of situations that ultimately hurt me the most. I did that. And so that's kind of the part of dealing with a person who has narcissistic tendencies and being very empathetic. You want the best for them, you want to take care of them, you want to save them, and that is not ever going to happen. They have to save themselves. And seeing their potential and not seeing them, I can only say is because I wasn't in that right space of seeing who that person actually was, it harmed me. And yes, they want to put on this grandiose show to kind of manipulate you. Well, to manipulate you. It's not kind of. It is to manipulate you. It's to make themselves feel larger than life, better than they actually are. It's a show, it's that honeymoon phase. But hindsight is 2020, and as I look back, I'm like, there are these signs and symptoms that I really should have paid attention to instead of not trusting myself or denying my experience and letting it be minimized. And so I think a lot of people are going to come to that realization. I certainly hope people do become more aware about it. It'll happen eventually at some point, or the people that are not willing to get out of that mindset, that mentality, that problematic behavior will not survive. There's a lot that's coming down the pipeline. There's a lot that's happening in the world right now. The best you can do is be present where you are and really take in everything and not minimize or offshoot it, not be surprised by the consequences that happen because of decisions made. And so it takes about 3 months to really break those bad habits. 3 months of awareness, 3 months of really taking a stringent look at, wow, what is it that I'm doing to make this happen? What is it that I could have done better? Now, a lot of people like to go, well, they should have, they would have, they could have. Why aren't they? Instead of going, what can I do? What is within my power to change? Because I can't talk. Strong arming someone is not the best course of action. I mean, it might work. It might work in some scenarios, but it's not the best. That there will be a ricochet effect on that. Right now, this year, I have felt that it's the year of the reckoning. So if you come at it with that energy, it will be outed. It will come out. It will be known. It will be made known. I've seen this in many different things. You can look at the news articles. This is the year of the reckoning. Like so much is coming on hard and fast. And so much of the information pipeline is, even though it's been clamped down, it's still stronger than ever. And even though there is a certain party in power within the states, it's going to snap like a rubber band. And things are going to be interesting within that scenario and that scope. So, that's fun. There will be this snapback. It's the whole protesting thing. And yeah, they keep on building pressure upon pressure, but change has happened, right? There is a figure, Christine Ohm, who was fired from her job, placed in another place. I don't think she's going to be that good there either. It's not going to be fun for her. And so there is progress happening. Pay attention to that path. What worked? So first is like awareness and being present. Be present in the moment. Be present where you are at. Be present with what you can handle, not what they should, could, would have done. Be present with what you can do. And then the next one is you need to look at your results. What's working? What's not working? So that we're not doing that wash, rinse, repeat over and over and over again. So be present, be aware of your situation, your surroundings, your power, and begin to look at results, right? Awareness starts with, all right, so I've been doing this behavior over and over and over again, expecting different results. That is considered the definition of insanity. Okay, so if I do this change, what result would that create? It's the experimentation paradigm. If I do this, then that. What happened? Did it work? Or did I kind of fall back in the same thing? Okay, if I fell back in the same thing, even though I'm doing this different behavior, what is really happening? What am I really doing? Okay, so let's change this other aspect of my behavior. What result? Oh, hey, something changed. Follow that path of that change that was implemented. The next thing is you got to be consistent with that change. And as I mentioned a little earlier, it takes about 3 months. Being consistent for about 3 months will help to reset your habits. Obi, you got to stop hitting this. So 3 months of habit changes usually impacts you on a long-term level. Recently heard a study where people would watch just one news station and it really kind of impacted them in a negative way. And then they did an experiment where they're like, you need to change the station. And a lot changed for these people that changed the TV station and started watching things outside of this little microcosm of one single station. However, that experiment was conducted for 1 month, and the change that they experienced didn't last. They went back to their old habits. So when it comes to these behaviors and changing your behaviors, awareness, results, and commitment, right? Commitment, consistency. So it takes awareness, takes creating those results, and then it takes the continuing down that path. Now, I personally have been a person that has been like awareness, results, and derail. And that will happen. Derailments, situations, circumstances come up, but do your best to be consistent. And that's part of why I do Powered by Intuition, because it is me on this path to consistency. No matter what, I want to show up on Thursdays as much as possible, humanly possible. Holidays, I need to take my holidays off if I can. Uh, but being consistent is something that I have definitely struggled with. And that is something that I'm using this to work through. So that is an example of literally practicing what I preach and letting you know that this does work. And no matter who's watching, as I started, I barely have anybody who watches this. I would prefer to have people subscribe on YouTube. Would love to build that up, 2,000 subscribers. But hey, um, once again, is that there is that real, tangible thing where it's for me, and it doesn't matter if anybody else shows up. Yes, I would like that. That's not a hard and fast thing. So this is kind of where I was talking, either I don't know if it was last episode or no, it was a couple episodes ago, about fulfillment. It's not about success being how much money you make or, falling prey to the cultural or social norms of success. It's about what fulfills you. And success is about fulfilling yourself and not using others to make that happen. It's all about you aspiring and hitting the goals that you set, that you've created for yourself. So, as I just mentioned, Powered by Intuition is a weekly live that I do to create that consistency in my life so that I'm improving myself and I'm changing my patterns and habits. It doesn't matter who's watching. It doesn't matter who participates. It doesn't matter if I have an audience. It's not about the audience. And that's the icing on top. It's about creating sustainable changes and practicing what I preach ultimately and living according to my value system and creating that fulfillment, that quotient of success. That was a mouthful. This is a lot. So we are 8:12. My goodness, almost there. So one of the things that I kind of want to leave people with within the situation, I know that there's a lot happening right now. There's going to be big changes. In LA, there is, I'm fairly aware of situations and surroundings, and there's been a lot of interesting characters showing up that aren't normal to LA, not normal tourists to LA. And so I am just paying attention to this because it seems like quite, there has been quite an uptick lately in this certain type of uh, individual or group. And so I'm definitely feeling the red flags go up, keeping my eye out, keeping aware, and just looking at the situation as it is. Now, if something happens, well, I was aware of it, right? And I've shared it forward now on this platform. And if nothing happens of it, all the best, right? But it's about being present, being aware of my situation and surroundings. There's not much I can do besides share on this and be like, point this out and observe, be curious. But that's, you know, that's how I choose to be aware of things and not just kind of be lost elsewhere, but be present. And then from there, make choices. And then from there, results. And then from there, be committed to those results and those changes. So if you are definitely feeling like you need some help and support in this, I do have the Resilience Journal. If you want to go over to YouTube and support on liking, following, subscribing, or sharing this message with someone that you know that might need it, that might find it interesting, please head over to YouTube and you can, for those who are on the Clock app, you can see that in my profile, my bio, it should be in there somewhere, link tree thingy. And come on over and let me know what you got from this, what kind of struck out to you, if you need extra support, and if you would like to get the Resilience Journal. The link is over there on the tube of you on my profile there. So thank you all for listening. I really do hope that those who listen to this do gain a lot of insight and information to support your lives from that. If not, so be it. I would still love to hear from you on things that you would like to see improved. You have a voice, you have a choice, and I wish you all a good night on the two of you. And I'm going to hang out over on the Clock app for a little bit. And I wish you well, and hopefully I'll see you next week live on Powered by Intuition. Bye.